33. All right, let's make it in. If you need a score correction or any assistance at all, please contact a scoring monitor or see us up here at Center Desk. After you finish your 6 games, please bring your completed score sheet back to the tournament office. The yellow copy is yours to keep. All leaderboards are updated after each squad and available on PBA.com. Okay, bowlers, before we start, I want to recognize a special guest on lane 23. We have a PBA Tour exempt player who finished 7th at the Masters just earlier this year. He's from LaSalle, Illinois, Nate Stuhler. All right, thank you. PBA LBC tournament bowlers, please move out to the foul line for our national anthem. And following the anthem, please stay at the line for a special message from Norm Duke.
And good afternoon, everyone, from Bolero Mount Prospect. We are down to our penultimate qualifying round of the PBA LBC National Championships. I'm $2 for Bryla. Once again, taking you through the squad. Not quite a sellout on this squad, but lots of lanes in play, lots of bowlers taking their chance on the 6-game block. Try to get to the top of the leaderboard in their respective divisions. And we do have a PBA exempt player on this squad, Nate Stubler. We'll get you introduced to Nate in a little bit. He's up on the high end of Bolero Mount Prospect as we make our way through with about 6 minutes of practice remaining. One squad remaining after we are complete here on Saturday. That is tomorrow, noon Eastern. (11 a.m. here in Mount Prospect, Illinois. And it's a sold-out squad with 4 PBA exempt players on it tomorrow. Hayden Stipich, Jason Sterner, Kyle Sherman, and PBA Hall of Famer Bill O'Neill. Your players on that squad, and that'll be the last chance anyone will have to try to make the PBA LBC National Championships clash, as all 8 of our division winners will advance to that clash to be held at a future date, place, and broadcast. Once again, lots of money up for grabs, lots of scholarships up for grabs for our boys junior and girls junior players. $25,000 guaranteed on top for the Open Classic. Our Senior Classic, Women's Classic, and Men's and Women's Handicap divisions, $5,000 guaranteed on top. And then our boys junior and girls junior Classic division winners will take down $2,500 in smart scholarship money. Here you see Nate Stubler coming into your picture lower left, just peeking ahead in, as he'll be starting on lanes 23 and 24. Stubler in the PBA exempt division. Trying to get the line down on this 42-foot PBA LBC National Championships pattern. 31.25 milliliters in length to go with the 4.5 to 1 inside to out ratio on the pattern. There you see Stephanie Zavala, PWBA Tour titleist this season. Coming off of just missing the cut at the PWBA 10th Anniversary Open in Green Bay, trying to get a little revenge on the pins here in Mount Prospect. And try to knock off the score Liz Johnson posted last weekend. Try to take down the $5,000 on top of the Women's Classic division and get herself into the LBC National Championships clash. And another notable
Okay, bowlers,
on the squad.
2-minute warning, 2.
Coming up here on 31 and 32. With Miranda Pattinson. Current member of Team USA. So a couple ladies on the squad looking to knock off that women's classic score set by Liz Johnson last weekend. Practice is underway. Wait for the final announcements from Tournament Director Neil Stremmel, and we will give you full field introductions here on the 2 p.m. squad. Local time here in Mount Prospect.
Okay, PBA tournament bowlers, your 10 minutes of practice is now complete. Before we get started, a reminder that when everyone on your pair is finished, please make sure to hit the space bar to move scores for the next pair in between games. All right, everyone, let's give these competitors a nice round of applause.
And we're off. Thanks, Neil. And let's get your player introductions.
Good luck and good scoring.
Come on, Neil. I'm working here. Thanks, Neil. Appreciate you bumming my rush here. On 3 and 4, Jackson Pfeiffer in the boys handicap division. T. Yip bowling in the senior classic division. J. Marie Martinez bowling in the women's handicap division, coming in at a 172 average. And Super Porn Yep bowling in the women's handicap division, coming in at 160. Over on 5 and 6, got Ryan Cruz, John Bradford, Larkland Teep, and Barbara Teep. Cruz bowling in the men's handicap division, coming in with a 211 average. Bradford in the open classic division. Teep of the Larkland variety in the senior classic division. And Teep of the Barber variety in the senior classic division as well. So ladies that are over the age of 50, they can make their choice of whether they want to bowl in the women's classic or senior classic divisions if they are going to bowl without any handicap pins. And Barbara decides she's going to try to take on the old guys. She wants to take Chris Barnes' score and put it in the second place. That's what we like to have bowlers give it the old college try. Hey, Andrew. Hopefully, yeah, it's been a mess around you guys to the northwest of you. Hopefully that rain backs off for a while so they can get back to some semblance of a normal life. that way in Texas. But thanks for tuning in from San Antonio. And once again, you can watch all the pairs in play. Open up the description underneath the video that you're watching. If you're watching it on a full screen, you're going to have to minimize the video for a second. Get back where you see the description underneath the video, and then you can choose your pair feeds, because we're going to switch off 3 through 6 right now. But right-click on the 3 through 6 feed, open it up in a new tab if you so desire. I mean, we're always happy to just have people in on the main feed the whole time, but we know some people are tuning in, looking at their favorite bowlers all the way through their 6 games, and that's the best way to do it. Double tab us, because then we can tell you how many pairs they're moving and make it easy for you to watch your favorite player while following hot hands. People that might be going for their own mini dukes if they try to shoot a 300 game. We get you all that here in the main feed. So once again, your bowlers on 3 and 4, Pfeiffer, Martinez, Yip and Yip. On 5 and 6, Cruz, Bradford, Teep and Teep. There you see young Jackson Pfeiffer coming off a 5th place finish in the boys handicap division last year. He was at a 75 average last year. This year coming in at 100, so young man getting better. And that's a great part about these boys junior and girls junior handicap divisions. As long as you're less than 18 years of age, it doesn't matter what your entering average is, you get a chance for the top spot in that division. Now, what a courteous young man. Gives right away. That young man's well taught by his father, I'll tell you that. Giving proper lane courtesy and everything. It's like his father was a good bowler back in the day as well. Hold on, Jax. Nah, it's going to be off into the gutter. So, Jackson's father, of course, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, for those of you that may have known me from my days with the Spare Time radio show in Milwaukee, where Sparky was the host, and it was myself and Dwight Albrecht playing sidekicks during that great run we had, talking about the PBA Tour for, well, about a decade altogether. A little break during the pandemic, but it's great to be a part of that show. 7 and 8 not in play this round, so 9 and 10. We have Andre Johnson Sr., Sandra Liederbach, and Olivia Rogers. Andre Johnson Sr. in the men's handicap division coming in at 204. Liederbach bowling the women's scratch division. The women's classic division, pardon me, that would be. And Olivia Rogers, here from England, two-hander. Almost takes down the 4-pin on a lucky break. Olivia bowling in the girls' junior handicap division, coming in at a 156 average. More and more of the young ladies switching over to the two-handed style just to generate the extra revolutions on the ball, get the ball speed to match. And you can really do some damage to those pins. And you're going to see that tomorrow night if you watch the PWBA 10th anniversary special from Green Bay, Wisconsin in the Resch Center. All those junior gold kids and families going to be packing that special arena setting. And Nora Johansson from Sweden is going to be in that opening match. Let's get you over to lanes 11 and 12 with Michael Brandt, Martin Brandt, Kevin Gallagher, and 'n' 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 'n Sagastumi in the men's handicap division at 179. Gallagher in the senior classic division. Brandt of the Martin variety in the open classic division, and Brandt of the Michael variety in that same division. Get you over to lanes 15 and 18 as lanes 13 through 16 not in play on the squad. Dustin Moore, Jim Cookus, Cole Graff, Brian Graff, your foursome on 17 and 18. Moore in the men's handicap division coming at a 204 average. Cookus in the men's handicap division at 192. Cole Graff in the men's handicap division also at a 192 average, and Brian Graff bowling in the men's handicap division, even though he's coming in at a plus 220 average. Over to lanes 21 and 22 is 19 and 20 not in play on the squad. Luigi Danikos, Dennis Carley, Ava Adams, Steven Anderson, your players on 21 and 22. Danikos in the men's handicap division coming in at 166. Carley coming in the men's handicap division at a 182. Adams in the girls' junior handicap division coming in at a 160 average. And Steven Anderson in the open classic division. Take you over to 23 through 26. Michael Goodman, Joseph Sika, Nate Stubler, Braxton Deadman. Your players on 23 and 24, of course, Stubler being in the PBA exempt division. Goodman in the men's handicap division coming in with a 198 established average. Kisa in the open classic division, and Deadman in the open classic division. Over on 25 and 26, Michael Nelson, Sean Goyne, Bambi Young, and Brady Watson. Watson in the men's handicap division at a 206. Young in the women's handicap division at a 152. Going in the men's handicap division at a 203 entering average. And Nelson in the men's handicap division at a 202 entering average. So let's see how Stubler's attacking this pattern, digging the fashionable hot pink bowling shoes to offset the tamer nature of the slacks and jersey. And that one gets a trip 6 down for Stubler, but That pace that Andrew Anderson has set with his 15-18 or plus 318 using the PBA scoring system. Stuber's going to need to trip a lot more sixes, kick out some sevens, and whatever else he needs to do to keep carrying in this building as they make their way across the entire center. During their 6 games of their block. Get you over to lanes 29-30, 27-28, not play this round. Mark Bynum, Stephanie Zavala, and Keith Robertson, your players. And we'll get back over to that threesome shortly. As let's get over to 31 and 32. As James Brazelton Jr. working on the front 8. Miranda Patterson, we mentioned her, Team USA member, working on a possible 290 game as well. So Brazelton waiting to shoot. He's in the Open Classic division. And if you're going to try to pace down a almost 260 average. Oh, a huge break there on the crossover. And we'll get you an extra look in the 10th frame for James Brazelton Jr. Be nice to break the 300 string by the PBA Elite players. Our last 3 300s all by bowlers in the PBA exempt division. First it was Patrick Dombrowski, then then Andrew Anderson, and then last Sunday Nathan Bohr. They've all recorded 300s, but it'd be nice to get someone in another division a perfect game. So let's see what Pattinson can do here first. Great college career, now Team USA. Solid out of the hand. Oh, and pays full penalty for a ball that breaks it a little bit late. But still going to be in the 270s for her opening game. So with Liz Johnson being in the middle of qualifying for the PBA 50 Monticello Championship at the PBA 50 World Series of Bowling, I'm sure Liz isn't following that close, but she may feel a small disturbance in the force. And here we are. PBA LBC National Championships, 2 p.m. squad on the last weekend of the event. And we have James Brazelton Jr. He was going for perfection. Got lucky in a crossover shot on the last attempt in the 9th frame, but still going to have a very solid start. So a couple solid games out here to open up for Brazelton Jr. and Pattinson. We'll get back over and check out the end of the game next door. As Stephanie Zavala starts with 220. Keith Robinson going to start with 2-0, and Byram going to start with 211. So all those players in respective Open Classic for Robinson, and Bynum, Women's Classic for Zavala. So your player movement after your first game here, the players you see here on 3 and 4, they're going to move over to 9 and 10, so they're skipping a pair, landing on the second. Players you see on 5 and 6 are going to move over to 11 and 12. So we'll get back with Brazelton and Pattinson as they're moving down here to 5 and 6 for their second game. Oh, Jackson Pfeiffer can't quite get the 10 to go. Still has a chance to get to his average with a spare here and a strike on the fill ball. Young man shot the highest game of his life last year at the time. His final game of the PBA LBC National Championships with Stu Williams on his pair. No PBA exempt players with Stu this year. And I want to thank Stu once again for his time in the booth last weekend. So player movement, game 2 of this block coming up next for the PBA LBC National Championships. We are into our second to last squad for the season. And we'll have 4 PBA exempt players with us tomorrow. Nate Stubler with us on this squad right now. All right, as we said, we're going to get Miranda Pattinson and James Barrelton Jr. We're going to keep an eye on them as they move to 5 and 6. A couple of real solid starts for those players. Mike, yeah, they do re-oil before every squad of the LBC National Championships with that 42-foot pattern. And they re-oil it the same way. It's not like, it's not like they're re-oiling for the 9 a.m. squad at 3 in the morning or something like that. So there's a timetable that's set for every round. So they start oiling 2 hours beforehand. They get everything prepped. They get the machines out there 90 minutes before the squad starts. And then they have two machines, two of the Kegel Atlas machines. And those machines start at opposite ends of the house. So one starts only in one starts only in 36, and they burn 1 and 2, and they burn 35 and 36, and then they start over again. There's only one program in the machine. Those machines are only used for the LBC National Championships competition. They're not used during regular league or regular open play events here at Bolero Mount Prospect. So it's a definite timetable, and the machines work their way to the middle, and when they get to 18 and 19, they collide and turn into a big flaming – no, they collide, but they don't turn into a big flaming heap. But, yeah, there's a definite lane maintenance schedule that's adhered to for these PBA LBC events. So that way everybody gets everything they do. They walk the lanes to make sure that it's the pattern that's out there, that there's no all of a sudden, the machine might have ran out of oil, or they make sure it's full every time. But sometimes these machines, they're not 100% perfect. Sometimes pumps start working or stop working or don't work right. And with the quality controls they have in place, everyone in this tournament is getting that LBC National Championships pattern applied the same way for them. Squad in and squad out. So our second game underway. So we'll keep an eye here on Zavala, Bynum, and Robinson. They had okay starts. Next door, they're on 3 and 4. But, yeah, the bowlers will really want to keep an eye on. Pattinson with the game in the 270s. And Brazelton Jr., the game in the 260s. Uh-oh, somebody wants to hear the story behind the nickname of $2 Phil. All boys and girls in a small city in Wisconsin many, many years ago. A young man was born. He was only given the name Phil. Grew up, didn't start bowling until he was 16. Got halfway decent pretty fast. One point in time. Wasn't a horrific bowler at all, but $2 Phil nickname has nothing to do with the actual rolling the ball down the lane, but it does have to do with the bowling center. So there was a bowling center in Delavan, Wisconsin, for those of you familiar with where Lake Geneva, Wisconsin may be. Well, actually, it's where it still is. It's not just where it may be, but it's also where it still is. About 10 miles west of Lake Geneva is the city of Delavan, and there was a bowling center there. It's unfortunately no longer around, called Ron Wheeler's Lanes, and I was good friends with Ron's son, Trevor, through many tournaments and a Friday night travel league that frequented throughout southeastern Wisconsin and was part of that travel league for a while. And whenever we went to Wheeler's Lanes, Ron Wheeler, when he had the center back when they started printing the $2 bills again in 1976 in celebration of our country's bicentennial, Ron and the local Tavern Association all gave out change in $2 bills and the Eisenhower dollars, because that way you knew that you were in business and doing business with a Tavern League member. And Ron never gave up on that. And after the Eisenhower dollars went away, then it became the Sacagawea coins for change. So they don't call me Sacagawea, Phil, because I usually left those coins behind. And but when I'd help out down there sometimes and bartend and such, people from the Chicago area would come up for some fun, and they'd buy a $3 Pabst and sometimes leave the $2 bill for a tip. So I always took him and brought him back with me, and I started giving him out as tips in Milwaukee to places I went to, because everybody remembers where they get a $2 bill from, because people think they don't make them anymore. People think that they're so rare. And I got a friend of mine that helps me out with getting them at a bank. And so the nickname was given to me by Jeff Goodger of the PBA. Those of you that know the internet bowling personality, Jeff Goodger. My great producer manning the transmissions back at home in Michigan while I'm here in Illinois. And Jeff coined me as $2 Phil after I started pulling $2 bills out for tips when we were on the road for extra frame events. And the nickname has stuck ever since. And I go nowhere without my $2 bills. I probably have at least $50 on me right now, if not more. So, because people always know that you can make somebody's day with a $2 bill, especially in the service industry, because then it gets them, remembering about a parent or a grandparent that always would save them and give them the $2 bills and that type of thing. So, yeah, it's pretty cool to make somebody's day, and that's why I like the nickname along with it too. $2 Phil, $2 bill, it rhymes. It's a good time for all. Got a couple of people in the chat here saying that he says goat material, a strike machine. Well, hold on one second here. After Zavala shoots here, looking for 4 in a row. Stone 9. Let's take a peek in. And he said that doesn't look like a strike. You guys are trying to pump him up, Lebu and Kyle. So you might want to send him a text instead of dropping it in the chat that he's a strike machine. Oh, I'm sorry, I had the wrong player there. Son of a gun, he is a strike machine. I take that back. Keep pumping him up in the chat. He'll keep throwing strikes. We're going to stick him for one more shot. We can't just count him on one lane. Oh, trouble there for Goodman with the chop. Stubler sub 200 game 1. It's got a lot of work to do to catch up to Andrew Anderson. But hey, a 300 game here can go a long way. And there's the front 4 for Stubler. Don't forget, even though it's the last weekend of the PBA LBC National Championships, you might not have a chance to get here in person. You can still order your PBA LBC National Championships gear through the official merchandiser of the PBA H5G brands. Just go to h5gbrands.com and go there now, as they have just slashed prices across the board. Not just the PBA LBC merchandise. Kisa, how about that? Not happy with the way the ball hit the pins, but you got to take the third strike in a row. It's a necessity. It was a USBC legal delivery, so you must take the results in pinfall. Let's get back to Stubler first. So h5gbrands.com, get ahead of the game. I mean, so many people are going to be ordering their league jerseys come first week of August and everything, and then you have to worry about, are they going to get there in time before your first night of bowling and such? Get them ordered now. Get them ordered at a low price. Get the design you want, because it's often implicated. No, it's not a crime to order from H5G Brands. It's a crime not to order from H5G Brands. Yeah, Thelma, I know on some of the pairs, we do lose a little bit of the tops of the pins on some of the pairs, but honestly, a couple of reasons why we had to mount them from the ceiling this year. One of them being fire code. If you've been to PBA events where they have Bowl TV or other entities live streaming and they just tape the cables down, well, we can't get away with that here, especially for a 7-week run. So everything we have is mounted in the ceilings, including our cameras. And so it's a tough call between, having where the height of the camera is compared to the ceiling and everything else here. So, I know we do lose the top of the pins a little bit, but you still get to watch everything fall. So, no, Thelma, it's not just your TV. It does on some of the pairs because of how we have to mount the cameras. It does cut the very tops of the pins off. But you still get to see, 95% of the pin. And the fun part's watching them bounce around anyway, once they go horizontal. So, and then basically, we try to maximize the space for the bowlers here. So if we had laptops and tripods and all the other stuff out on behind every 2 pairs of lanes, that takes away a lot of the space that the bowlers need for their equipment, for their friends that are watching, family that are watching. So, we kind of took the good with the bad. We lose just a little bit of the pins at the top of the pins, but we also make it a much more pleasurable viewing experience for the people that are in the center, as they're not worrying about accidentally bumping our equipment or tripping our equipment or that type of thing, which we had a lot of last year when we actually still had everything dropped from the ceiling, but we had cameras on tripods and laptops out in the way to hook into the cameras. Yeah, so a little different setup this year. I think it's working pretty well. I'm glad you're watching. And we appreciate everybody that tunes into these LBC National Championship live streams. We're going to get back over. Since the fire's out now for Kisa, hopefully the fire comes back after his fans cheer him on in the chat. Come on, Laibu and Kyle. Let's see some more cheering for Joe Kisa in the chat. Bynum having a solid game. Zavala trying to bounce that score a little higher from the 220. Wow, and almost a pocket 6-pin. Yeah, you see the wry smile from Stephanie Zavala right there. That's some entry angle you're generating if you can leave a pocket 6-pin. Of course, the big story right now, Miranda Pattison, throwing it in there that doesn't belong. Pattison, 277 opening game, same opening game for her lane mate, James Brazelton Jr., but Brazelton Jr. struggling a little bit here in game 2 after making the turn, and now Pattison also finding some trouble with a 210. So I know there's a question late in the round, last block. About the 2026 edition of this tournament. Yet to be announced the location or the event dates. I'm sure that'll be announced by the PBA in a short period of time. I know there's people that were leaving here the last couple of weekends asking about it, because even though they may not have bowled their best, they know they're having a great time while they're here enjoying the local area as well. Lots to do out here in the Mount Prospect, the northwest side of Chicago. So, hey, Green Machine, and I like that too. I like the higher angle, not just because you can see, make sure you always pretty much see the pins. You get to see a lot of the ball path. I mean, a lot of times you get a bowler, you know, it doesn't matter the height of the bowler or the size of the bowler. You can't a lot of times see the ball path for the first 15, 20, 25, 30 feet. You know, with this angle, you get to see a lot of the ball path with the player right out of the hand. So, hey, John, sorry you had a bad experience back in the day with H5G. Hopefully that was a long time ago. I've been associated with them. They sponsor the PBA regionals that I stream. They sponsor local television shows that I do back in Wisconsin, that type of thing. They do a lot in the bowling community. I know other companies do as well, don't get me wrong. But from what I see, you know, a lot they do to give back to the sport and stuff. If you had a bad experience, I'm sure they would love to have the opportunity to, you know, get back in your good graces. If you, if it was a while ago, you know, not much they might be able to do about it from that previous order. But if you're looking to do something now, PWBA Pro Lindsay Boomershine, who a lot of players know, obviously a lot of bowling fans know from her PWBA tour work. She's one of the brand managers for H5G brands, and she could help you out with any of those issues. I mean, it's a pretty easy email address to remember. You know, Lindsay Boomershine, lindsay.boomershine at h5gbrands.com. And, you know, even if you have questions about current H5G brand programs, you know, I know a lot of youth leagues in my area that have their jerseys for the entire youth league provided by H5G brands. They do a lot of programs with various organizations, anywhere ranging from, like I said, local youth leagues to large organizations like the IGBO, the International Gay Bowling Association organization, pardon me. Many youth tournament series like the Elite Youth Tour that's down here in the Chicago area. They do a lot of work with H5G brands. So I'm sorry you had a bad experience with them, John, but I tell you what, if you gave them a second chance, told them about your bad experience, and gave them a second chance, I think they would, you'd be pleasantly surprised with what they could help you with, especially really into design something unique for your personality. They've done some great stuff for me with my $2 Phil nickname and $2 two jerseys. See what Patterson can do here, try to right the ship. Let's look at 232 this game. She punches out. Wow, that was almost a pocket six pin. For Patterson. So Zavala plus 75 for two. She's on pace. Once again, trying to chase down Liz Johnson. Same thing that Patterson's going to try to do here. And, of course, the big total that anybody in our Open Classic division like James Brazelton Jr. is trying to chase down is that big 1523 number set a few weeks back by Weston Griffin. Tell you what, Brianna Jerzakowski in the girls' handicap division. Great start for her, 259 with her handicap, but she's going to need to throw a few more games together like that. Not sure what her entering average is. Looks like she's catching 10 pins a game in handicap. No, she's catching more than that. I apologize. As Pedersen looks to try to finish 232, stay ahead of Zavala after 2, and both of those ladies would then be on pace to try to pass Liz Johnson. Oh no, the wheels are coming off after that great opening day for Brazelton Jr. Take a quick peek in on Stubler. Top game in the 230s there, but 233, but he's going to need put a couple of huge games on the board to try to get back to Anderson pace. And Pedersen likes that one. Still the possible 232 after that open frame in the 5th. So your player movement between games 2 and 3. Players you see here on 5 and 6 are simply going to skip one competition pair to the right. So since 7 and 8 is not in play, they're going to skip the 9 and 10. The players you just saw in 3 and 4, they're going to move next door in 5 and 6. So you got to be kidding me. How can nothing be close to the 9 pin? Not even the ball goes zooming by and then every pin parts like the Red Sea. Just call that ball Moses. Except 9 pin didn't get the message. But still a solid game. Pedersen and Zavala still looking to threaten Liz Johnson's spot on the leaderboard. As we got player movement, once again, one competition pair to the right. And we'll stick with our 2 odd hands with the ladies here with Zavala and Pedersen in game 3. Take a quick peek in. That's players we haven't seen since game 1. Cruz, Bradford, Teep and Teep, Larkland, Teep, and Barbara Teep, respectively. Nobody really setting the world on fire, unfortunately, on those pairs. Let's take a peek next door on 21 and 22. With Andre Johnson Sr., Sandra Liederbach, and Olivia Rogers. Rogers off to a great start, my goodness. 279 with her handicap last game. She's in the girls' handicap division. So Olivia Rogers having a field day to this point. Her first 2 games without handicap. We're in the 230, actually, pardon me, 220 range. And then pile on her handicap, actually 220 and 230 range, pile on her handicap. And she has 580 after 2, looking to set the world on fire in the girls handicap division. So we will keep an eye on her for a couple of frames, and we'll catch up with Zavala and Pattison. I will stop throwing the extra N in there anytime now. And the young two-hander here out of England, my goodness. Putting on a show so far. Well, scrambles around, gets a 7 to go. 10 still stands. Yeah, we'll see if she sticks with the 2 hands for the spare game, or as we see some two-handed players do, they'll switch to a one hand with the thumb. Nope, we are two-handed for the spare delivery as well. And a little bit of a backup at that 10 pin, covers it up nicely. So an incredible start right now for Olivia Rogers. Her sister bowled on the morning squad. Let's take a peek in on Zavala as she's looking to get her first strike of game 3, which she does. Of course, it's only the second frame. Pattison double the start game 2. It's Pattison plus 88 for her first 2 games, but she got 77 of that plus in game 1. Zavala 75 after 2 with 55 of that plus in game 2. Let's take you over to Rogers. Young lady having a career day here in her first 3 games. And how about that? Scrambles the rack. And she's keeping it cool, calm, and collected for as well as she's bowling right now. Wow. Pattison's still waiting for that ball to slow down. So 3 ladies trying to take down the lead in 2 divisions. With just 1 squad remaining after this action today. That squad tomorrow morning, noon Eastern. For those of you joining us on the live stream from the East Coast, 11 a.m. here in Mount Prospect is start time for that final squad. Bill O'Neill, Hayden Sipich, Kyle Sherman, Jason Sterner scheduled to appear on that squad tomorrow. And are we going to get a roll on that 2-pin? No, we don't. 8 stays with it for Pattison. And let's see what Rogers can do here. Young lady comes in with a 156 average, and she is just on fire. And look at that entry angle. Could have been easily 5 in a row for her. Peeking on Zavala, looking for 3 in a row. Oh, and another 7-pin. This time for Zavala. Cover made for Rogers. And at this point in time, that lead in the girls' junior handicap division practically in Olivia Rogers' back pocket. So I like the bowling that this threesome is doing here, knowing they're a player down, all other pairs pretty much have 4. Just kind of taking their time, staying pace, checking out the pairs next to them, not getting too far ahead. Rogers just looking to keep, oh, that's going to need some help to hold. Wow. She's got 3 boards, and they all have arrows on them right now. My goodness. 2 rounds don't make it right, but 3 rounds can make it strike. I saw her come out of that shot a little flat, a lot left, and a little fast, and apparently those 3 things at the same time. Helped Olivia Rogers to hold pocket on that shot and get another 10 back. Andrew, question about the bowling ball restriction rules. If this was a true PBA Tour or PBA 50 Tour event, that 2-year rule would apply. It has to be manufactured no later than August. Well, actually, it's almost 3 years now because it's August 1st of 2022 for that manufacture date on a bowling ball. But that's for the PBA Tour and PBA 50 Tour. For any of the regional events, that doesn't come into play. So any of the bowling balls here is Zavala finds trouble with the super washout. See if Rogers can get a double on the board here. And how about that? When you're making the foul line adjustments, so yeah, there's not too many bowling balls that can't be used here at the PBA LBC National Championships. Actually, a gentleman checked with me before because he had a purple hammer, and wanted to make sure it wasn't one of the years that the USBC, first it was the PBA, then the USBC banned retroactively the 2016 and 2017 hammers. So yeah, there's a few bowling balls that have been disqualified by USBC and PBA over the years, but the bowlers can check it out online actually at the PBA LBC National Championships website, pba.com/LBC tournament. Wow, how about that? Rogers just keeps rolling. You can actually see the approved ball list, and you can easily check whether a bowling ball you'd want to use at the LBC National Championships is eligible. I'd say 99.5% of the balls released domestically over the last 20 years would be on that list as approved, if not even 99.8%. So you haven't missed out on anything with Miranda Pattison, as they were fixing a ball return issue. Looks like we had a belt break on a ball return, so they're getting a little delay on that pair, but we'll catch up with them shortly. And how about that? Olivia Rogers is going to have a 900 series with her handicap after 3 games. My goodness. Talk about having a career day. She's 17 years old. She's from England, so she's bowling in the girls' junior handicap division. And we've seen it in other events before. Bowler catches fire, has the career day. Trying to get a little more information on Rogers because Rogers and her sister bowled on the morning squad. Her sister's 18. And bowled in the women's handicap division this morning. Didn't have a really good day. But just kind of, you got the mirror opposites. With Olivia's sister being left-handed, one-handed, and brunette. Olivia two-handed, right-handed, dominant, and blonde. Question in the chat about a particular ball for 900 Global Protocol. I just went through on the certified bowling ball list on the PBA LBC site. First sign of trouble this game, and unfortunately in the 10th frame for Olivia Rogers. But still going to have a huge series after 3. Protocol 900 Global approved by the PBA back in 2013, so that would be a bowling ball you would be able to use in the PBA LBC National Championships. Oh, backup ball. Hey, why not? 2-8-10. My goodness, when it's your day, it's your day. Unbelievable conversion. By Olivia Rogers. Get you back over to Zavala. As Zavala is entering her 10th frame. Great. So in case you missed that, just went back in the YouTube archives here real quick for that 10th frame. Yes, that is a 2-8-10. Yes, that is Olivia Rogers. Yes, that's a backup ball at the 2-8-10. And there you go, 2 off the 10 into the 8. Spectacularly done by the young lady from England. So once again, let's give you the replay of what just happened for Olivia Rogers. She's having a phenomenal start in the girls handicap division. You think it's going to be an open frame in the 10th frame to end a great game. Nope. 2 into the 10, into the 8. And the chance once again for a phenomenal game for Olivia Rogers. When it's your day, it's your day. So Patterson and her crew back underway on 9 and 10. So Patterson slowed down from that opening 277 game. But if she can get out of this game, be 100 over for 3. Right on pace. Zavala's going to be a plus 93 for 3, so that's another one where on pace to catch Liz Johnson's existing total. If Patterson can get a 3-bagger in here now, that'd be absolutely huge. No, 10 doesn't agree with her on that shot. So that spare there is going to drop Patterson's maximum to 210. That would get her to plus 98. Once again, still on pace with Liz Johnson, as Liz last week ended up finishing at a plus 178 total. All right, so we're reaching the halfway point here at Bolero Mount Prospect for this second to last squad of the 2025 PBA LBC National Championships. Your player movement between Games 3 and Games 4, the players you see here on 9 and 10 with Hunter, Patterson, Brazelton Jr., and Jerzakowski are going to move over to 17 and 18 for their next game of competition. So they are skipping a pair and landing on the second competition pair for your moves here in between games 3 and 4. So once again, you play your movement, skipping a pair, landing on the second. That's competition pairs. That's why you're going to see this foursome on 9 and 10. Next competition pair is 11 and 12 that they skip. Then they go all the way to 17 and 18 for Pattison, Hunter, Brazelton, and Jerzakowski. right, here we go. Neil Stremmel from the PBA. He's our tournament director here. He's also the director of rules and specifications for the PBA when he's not running the LBC National Championships. And Neil, we've had some questions in the chat about bowling balls that are on a approved list or not. I know there's a list on the PBA website for bowling balls that can be used during the not just the league bowler certification national championships, but also in leagues that are certified by the PBA LBC. How often is that list updated? Was one of the questions.
Yeah, so we have two different lists, and the main big list is for PBA LBC leagues, and I update that. I've already updated it this month a couple times, so I update it. I don't know, probably an average of 2 to 4 times a month, depending on how often new stuff comes out. The manufacturers, they only want me to add to that list, balls that they want on that list. So, like, let's say it's an overseas release. Well, that's not going to be added to our list because our list is just for the U.S. and just for leagues in the U.S. I have a separate list that's looked at a little more closely, and that's for the PBA. That includes the PBA National Tour, the Regional Tour, the PBA 50, and PBA Junior. So then we're able to maintain 2 different lists, and of course then USBC has their list. So I know it's a lot of lists out there. For the most part, our league list and the USBC list are very, very similar. So I don't know if that answers that question or not. I think I answered it.
Yes, you did. So let's see. Somebody's making a comment about Joe Keisha out here because they say he's the GOAT. Named his 4 kids after Joe, which are Joe, Joey, Joe, and Josica. All right. I'm not sure why I got into that joke.
It's like George Foreman. Then he named his 5 sons George, I think.
Right. That's more fact than fiction, no doubt there. So Zavala and Pattison both pacing to try to chase down Liz Johnson.
Yep, they need a couple of big games here, but not doing too bad.
Well, if Zavala manages to pace what she did for her opening 3, she'd pass her because Liz is at plus 178, so plus 93 and plus 93 would be plus 186. So even
very
though,
close, yeah.
So even though Liz is bowling the PBA 50 Monticello Championship in Jack 60 right now, I don't know if her spidey sense is tingling or not, that she might not win this event for
3rd consecutive time.
Years in a row, yeah. It's never easy to repeat. It's even harder to get 3 in a row. I'm not saying that other term because I'm not paying Pat Riley any trademark money. So
definitely not. But, that would be awesome if either way it'll be great. So looking forward to it.
So we'll watch Zavala here, and then we'll catch up with Pattison. Once again, Zavala, former Team USA, took down a title in Cleveland this year on the PWBA Tour. She's left more 9 pins and 10 pins today.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a working bowling ball when that's happening, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I'm sure anybody that watches, and Phil has noted it for a few people several times. The 9 pins here, like just a little bit high, and you're leaving a 9 pin, and just the entry angle, 9 pin city. So that is not an unusual occurrence.
No, not at all. So we'll wait for Pattison to step up here. We'll give you the radio call on Zavala
and she's plus 77 after 3 as well. So she's right in there.
Yeah, decent pace, and once again, good pedigree, great college player, as we said, current Team USA member. Zavala did pick up the spare. And you had a lot of experience with Team USA back in a former part of your career. Were you part of like the overall selection process for bowlers that maybe didn't qualify through? Like, I know there's like the Team USA trials where a certain number of bowlers are automatically guaranteed spots from their performance in the trials, that type of thing. Were you part of the team that picked those other bowlers off of, resumes or other performances or whatever?
No, I always let the coaches do their thing.
Okay.
they would come to me and say, okay, here's our plan. This is what we, are planning to do. And I guess if I had any significant issue, I might stick my nose in the middle of it. But
Okay.
I don't recall that ever happening.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was Rod Ross and Kim Terrell. Like, they know what they're doing and still know what they're doing. And, basically came up with those decisions. And I played along.
Yeah. So
yeah, when you got great people in the right position, you don't have to stick your nose in the middle of it or micromanage a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah, and it not just with the huge wealth of players that Team USA obviously has to choose from over the time, but there's a pretty good wealth of coaching talent that's been around for many, many years. You mentioned Rod Ross. I was lucky enough back 20 years ago to take my USBC Silver Coaching Certification class with Rod as one of my instructors and Pat Costello from out of Florida as my other one. So, yeah, you talk about vast wealths of knowledge. And
yeah, a couple of great coaches for sure. And, there's been, some great Team USA coaches over the years. Fred Board and Jerry Edwards, were on board when I kind of became involved with Team USA, took over as managing director of the national governing body, which included Team USA along with rules, equipment specs, and all the other things that I'm good at. I was trying to figure out a different way to say that.
No. I mean, but, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, but so that was a lot of fun. I was also on the technical and even the technical and coaching committee for World 10 Pin. So that's where I got to travel with Team USA a lot. We would have meetings and gatherings and review bowling balls at the events. I weighed bowling balls at certain World Championships, lay out the patterns, discuss the patterns. We put together the bank of patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was under my technical committee. We came up with the banks of patterns because, there was always international issues until we did that, and then it just solved a lot of problems. The other thing with Team USA was when I took over, Team USA had been in all different parts of the country, different times of year, sometimes in December, sometimes in January, and, different parts of the country, sometimes Reno, sometimes Vegas. It was even out east a time or two. And so I'm like, if we want to, be consistent and have a good selection, like let's solidify this. And I made it early January, so like the college kids were off, and of course high school kids, if they really wanted to bowl and were that good, they could take some time off of school. But it was an easier time frame for all the youth to participate, as well as the professionals. When I was involved, that's when the professionals began to be allowed to compete as part of the national teams, USA, Finland, Sweden, etc., Australia. So, that was a great time, and there was a lot of change, and we managed that change, and I just took it simple. The other thing I did with team trials was, before I took over, it had been, like bowl 24 games, without re-oiling. And I'm like, that's not what they do in international competition. You bowl 6 games. It's like a sprint. It's not a marathon. So we changed that, and we used World 10-Pin Bowling Association patterns, and we bowled 6 games, which is what they do. Yeah. And, we bowled on multiple ones and started doing points instead of pins. Actually, we did both. We still took the high pin total, but mostly we did points, which, of course, a lot of people didn't like that. But next thing you know, we were the the world champions in men, women, boys, and girls all at the same time. And it's the only time that's ever happened before or since. And so, I just think that was like a lot of logical decisions of doing what
the world does.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, we got a question here. We have a Mr. Stremmel.
Uh-oh.
So this is either something good or it's a delivery of some type of legal device. So I watched a video about how you developed the 3-point targeting system and PL31. How would you use that for this PBA LBC National Championships pattern of 42 feet in length and 31.25 mils?
All right. That's good. So, yes, it's 42 feet in length. So, obviously, pattern length minus 31. So that would be, where you would start. You would want your ball to exit the oil pattern at that distance to try to get approximately a 4-degree entry angle. Now, before you just do this, you have to practice this and kind of know who you are and how you throw the ball, and can you throw it straight? So can you throw it straight down, the 11 board or the 9 board, and just have it come out of the end of the pattern, where you want it to? Or do you need to swing it a little bit to get that to be appropriate? Before I go on, though, I want to say, that pattern length minus 31 came from an article I wrote in 2005 or 6 or somewhere in there. And it was an article I wrote that basically drew a line back from the pocket and showed where the ball needed to be in order to get 6 degrees of entry angle, 5, 4, 3, 2, and literally it said if you lay the ball down and throw it straight to the pocket from the 1 board and throw it straight to the pocket, which is a 17.5 board, you would get 1.67 degrees of entry angle just throwing it straight. So then I drew out all the other lines. And it was Joe Slowinski at Kegel at the time who then just took those graphics that I had and was like, okay, so it kind of looks like if you did a pattern length minus 31, that would get your ball to come out of the pattern at the right place to get a good entry angle to carry. And a lot of times when you go to a tournament, you don't know much about the pattern. Volume, load structure, and this one, volume and load structure. Yep. Sometimes you only know the distance.
Yep.
And so this was a good place to start. If that's all you know, here's how you start to figure out where you should start. Now, again, this was 20 years ago. Rev rates have gone up.
Yeah.
So it isn't maybe the best plan of attack anymore if you have a high rev rate. But, again, if you practice this on different patterns, different length patterns to kind of understand your ball motion and where your ball comes out of the end of the pattern, you can still use that when you go to a tournament and kind of okay, my first ball is going to be here, looking at 15 to get it to 10, and then from there see what happens. Does it go high? Does it not make it to the pocket? Whatever, and then make an adjustment from there. So it's how to not waste practice time, how to have a good plan of attack. And that's, you only get 5 or 10 minutes of practice, 10 here. So you don't have time to be messing around. So have a plan and attack it from that standpoint.
Yeah, and I think one other thing to keep in mind, too, you mentioned about the 20 years and changes and high rev rates and stuff like that. It's going to be a different entry angle and different break point for bowlers that are using urethane or urethane-like bowling balls than for reactive resin bowling balls, obviously because those balls roll completely different on the lane.
Yeah, it's another excellent point. 20 years ago, there was urethane, but it wasn't quite the same urethane we have today, and there wasn't as much of it, and it wasn't as highly used unless you had Cheetah, which you wanted to play outside and you didn't want your ball to hook too much, overhook. So anyways, that's where it came from.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Mr. Delgado. It's appreciated, and
hopefully that's helpful and explains kind of a little bit of background on it.
Yeah, it's just a basic guideline. It's not a Bible by any way, shape, or form. So
I have people who have said well, how come this doesn't work anymore? And I'm like, well, I wrote that 20 years ago, so why don't you come up with a new plan and publish it, and there you go. But until you do, I guess this is still kind of the thing that's out there.
Yeah, it's the baseline. It's not the Bible.
Yeah.
So great spare there by Pattison, but she's looking at a game maxing at 224. That would get her right about a little bit behind Zavala because Stephanie Zavala is 247 now, has her plus 140. So Zavala goes 220 her next 2 games. She will pass Liz Johnson. And it's just a matter of could we have a couple of new bowlers approaching the top spot in the women's classic division. Yeah, nobody really chasing it down in the open classic division right now. I see a couple of baby 900s out there for 4, but you need to be to be at what Weston Griffin put out there. You need to be at about 950 to 1,000 with 2 to go to have any chance. And you better be at 1,000 because he put up 1523. So 950, you have basically room for 1 errant shot in 2 games.
Yeah, so we do. Yeah, we got some great scores out there, and anybody that's in a handicap division, they'll get reviewed like we always do, and just verified to make sure everything's legit.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had that happen with bowlers already here this year. We've had some re-rates happen. So, that's one thing that you are very good at, very thorough at, is digging out what bowlers may have averaged in certain events, that type of thing, because sometimes bowlers don't realize it's not just what you bowl in league that counts as your average. If you're a good tournament bowler and your tournament average for 21 games is pretty high, you might end up having to use that tournament average.
Exactly.
So that's one thing, even in local I see it back home in local competitions where bowlers forget about that. All of a sudden, I had a great city and I had a great state, and then they go to a tournament and then they go, I shouldn't get re-rated because those are other tournaments. Well, no, that's why those rules exist, because it's 21 games in competition is what I believe. I know the USBC rule is 21 games. Is that a similar rule for the LBC National Championships?
Yeah, exactly. And we do what a lot of tournaments do. We use not the most recent average, but the previous year's average. Mm-hmm. But if the most recent year's average is 10 pins or higher, we're going to use that. Yeah. And then, if your tournament, especially recent tournament history, shows something different, we're going to evaluate that. And sometimes it's a cumulative average that you're looking at, and you average all those games in together, or sometimes it's, usually it's the highest, your highest from last year, etc. But kids especially, they can change quickly and improve quickly, and so we use that 10-pin rule mostly with the kids because they're just improving so quickly.
Yeah, it's easy. All of a sudden, they get the right ball in their hand. They're growing a little bit. They have a little more ball speed than they used to. 6 pins that didn't kick out 10s before are starting to do it. And, it's and
you practice more, and next thing you know, you're just, easily 10 pins better than you were the year before. So, one of the reasons why we don't just use that right away is we've had trouble with, leagues sending in their new certified averages. So this tournament starts the end of May, and some of the averages haven't been sent in yet. Yep. And so, we're looking for that, and this allows us to, have what's going to be pretty solid starting point for most everybody by using last year's average. But we're still going to, especially at the end of the tournament, we're still going to verify that we got everything and there's nothing new out there that we've missed.
So the players you see here on 17 18 in Game 4, they're going to move over to 25 and 26. So they're going to skip 2 pairs, land on the third. If you're double tabbing us, you're going to do the same thing for your favorite player that's watching. Andrew Delgado says thank you for answering the question, and hopefully he gets to meet us next year, wherever this LBC National Champions may be. We may be here. I hope we're here. I like it here, but you've mentioned in previous times that the goal is to kind of keep it in the Midwest, and it might. So I'm sure the LBC National Championships Committee will be meeting on that show. Is there an actual committee for the National Championships? There's got to be a few people involved in decisions. Well, it's not just the rule of law of Tom Clark.
Yeah, there's a few people involved. There's no official formal committee. Okay. Luckily, or I've been on enough committees that I'm tired of being on committees. So, but we just want to make a good logical decision, and shortly we will be announcing the clash and when and where it's going to be. We'll be doing that while we're verifying all the scores from this and ordering trophies and jerseys for the clash show. Like we've done every year, so everybody has the same jersey. We give them that. Right. So there's stuff like that. So that'll be announced soon. Who plans Norm Duke's travel itinerary for that? Yeah, luckily not me. Not you? Okay. So I think Janae probably does most of that, or Norm does a lot of it himself. I know something in this contract written about private planes and limos, I think. So I don't know. Hey, Neil, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. No problem. As we get into Game 5, we're going to take a little short audio intermission here to refresh our beverage in the booth. We hope you do the same at home. Thanks, everybody. Thanks. Take care.
So here we go, the two young ladies trying to take over the women's classic division lead. Don't count Miranda Pattinson out of it yet. Pattinson plus 89, Zavala plus 140. Once again, that score to get past is the 1378 or plus 178 total of Liz Johnson. And if you ask Liz, she was pretty disappointed with the number of pins she gave away the last 2 games last week. As after 269 game 4, where a lot of bowlers ended up getting bit with lane changes, transitions, and such, she followed that 269 game up with 212 and 187. And don't forget, Liz had a better than 1,500 total for her first 2 PBA LBC National Championships events. And of course, she took down the title in both those events in the women's classic division. Don't count Pattinson out yet. Plus 89. All it takes, the 51 pin count difference, is a couple open frames for one bowler, a 5-bagger for the other, and whoops, things change around. So Zavala takes it out to a 4-bagger. Patterson on a double. And a packed 10 back for Brianna Jerzakowski. Look at that nice relaxed stroke by Zavala. Takes 10 down again for her 5th in a row. How about Patterson for the turkey? It's always good when you get 2 bowlers going for a division lead, bowling right next to each other. I mean, it's not as exciting as a position round at a PBA tournament, but it's pretty exciting, especially for the fans around. Keeping it perfect for 4. Yes, Patterson does. Oh, this is so much fun, just letting them battle it back and forth. Like we said, it's a 59-pin difference, but get what's what. It can change in a hurry if Zavala stops striking. So you'll see Zavala stepping in. Left side of your screen, lane 23. Looking to put up her 6th in a row. Oh, just got it. You can see she got away with that one a little bit. She was left to target. But that's the thing, this LBC National Championships pattern. Is about 4.5 to 1 outside the in. So there is a little bit of a buffer in there. Front 5 for Pattison. There's Ali versus Frazier, Foreman versus Frazier, Foreman versus Ali, and now it's Zavala and Pattison with the slugfest back and forth. Zavala after that first frame open, 6-bagger, and Pattison perfect through 5. So as I mentioned, Pattison, recent addition to Team USA for 2025. She was also on Junior Team USA in her past. Pattison stays perfect. Zavala, blemish on the scorecard for the first time in a while here in the 8th frame. Mentioned Zavala won in Cleveland earlier this year. 5 PWBA titles in total to go with a major for 6 overall titles. She took down the PWBA Tour Championship back in 2022. She was also the PWBA Rookie of the Year. Zavala's been able to nibble on the gold medal at the 2022 Pan Am Bowling Women's Championship, part of the team winners for Team USA at that event. Pattison stuffs them back for 7 in a row. So if Stephanie Zavala goes off the sheet, it should be at 256. Pattison, if she stays perfect, would make up 44 pins of the 51 pin deficit she has right now. So let's see if Patterson can keep it perfect. Will we see an exciting 8th in a row for Miranda Patterson? Yes, we will. Both these young ladies taking a good chunk of the lane out of play. Keeping it pretty direct. Uh-oh, you can see right there, Zavala wasn't too sure on that spare attempt. And we can be down to a 1-game battle between Zavala and Patterson for the Women's Classic Division lead. As they could both end up leaving Liz Johnson in the rearview mirror, but which one of the two would come out on top? Obviously, the only way we're going to be able to tell is watch them all the way through Game 6, and we'll be doing that for sure here in the main feed. And for the first time in 3 editions of this PBA LBC National Championships, Liz Johnson does not seem invincible with her total score posted on the board. We saw Lenny Borst Jr. earlier in the day try to get to his 3rd straight PBA LBC National Championships clash. Came up a little short in the effort. There's going to be a little space between these players in Game 6 as all of our players are simply moving one pair and play to the right for their 6 games. So Zavala's going to go right next door to where Patterson is. Great toss. Another 9-pin. She's left more 9s than 10s, as I mentioned earlier. That ball working hard through the pocket. Now, can Patterson take advantage of that and basically erase any deficit between herself and Zavala here in the 9th frame? Mix them up, take them down. And we are looking not only at just our 9th perfect game of the 2025 edition of the PBA LBC National Championships. It would only be the 2nd perfect game thrown by a woman in the PBA LBC National Championships history. Kayla Peshina of Minnesota put a perfect game up on the board back in our inaugural 2023 event. PBA LBC National Championships Game 5 of qualifying. And Miranda Patterson looking for perfection on the front 9, looking for 10 in a row. Is she going to roll the 2-8? No, she's not. You see the smile on her face. But that's going to get her ahead of the pace already set by Liz Johnson. as she tries to vault into the Women's Classic lead. Problem is for Pattison, Stephanie Zavala keeping right on pace. So there we go, shreds the rack, 278. To get to 167 over for Pattison, 174 over for Zavala, but they both have to have a solid finish because Liz Johnson 178 over, so any sub 200 game by either Zavala or Pattison, it's going to cause some issues for those players getting into the lead in the Women's Classic division. We're going to cover both those players. You're going to see Zavala go right next door to where she was bowling. She'll go to 25 and 26, and Pattison will go to 29 and 30 for the sixth and final game of this squad. Just one squad remaining tomorrow here for the PBA LBC National Championships. That'll be starting at noon Eastern time. 11 a.m. here in Mount Prospect. And we'll have Bill O'Neill, Hayden Stipich, Jason Sterner, and Kyle Sherman as your PBA exempt pros on that squad. And there you see Stephanie Zavala getting her thoughts together. She needs a 205 game or better to surpass the Women's Classic division total set by Liz Johnson. Problem is, Miranda Pattison just 7 pins behind Zavala getting into this game. Great toss by Zavala to start the sixth and final game. Over to Pattison. Two ladies just separated by the dead pair of 27 and 28, so they know exactly what's going on for score. Oh, no, a blower 7. If you're going to leave it in the first frame. We just saw that big run that Pattison had. Front 9. And a 278 game. Pattison, 2 big games this block. Started with 277. Kind of floundered for 3 games and then got it all back together. In game 5. Quality cover by Pattison. You know that neither one of these ladies are looking at second place or lower on the standings board. They're focused on that 1378 by Liz Johnson. Verity Crowley plus 163, Hannah Brookins plus 134, and Margaret Ventrella at plus 124. Round out your top four. Let's see who's going to toss first, Zavala or Pattison. Looks like Zavala. Ready to fire, looking for the double here in frame 2. Oh, that ball. The last 3 games, she's left more 9s and 10s, and you can see why, as hard as that ball is hitting that 1-3 pocket and driving through. She is a tough train to stop right now, and Pattison finds the weak 10. I mean, yeah, it got all the way around. The 10 pin did the 6, but it also did it really low. Razelton Jr. had a great start this day today. Front 9 in game 1. Caught a couple of breaks in there. 9th frame we saw was a crossover. But 277 start. It's been, once again, a bit of an up and down day for him ever since. Let's go over to Zavala. I hear gobbling. That turkey was quickly silenced by the strength of Stephanie Zavala's bowling ball, taking all 10 into the pit. No witnesses to that assault. Don't even bother calling 911. Slowly turn around, walk away. I don't want to say it's mandatory strike mode now for Pattison to try to get into the lead. But he knows, yeah, she knows what's going on a couple lanes down. And now that's 3 straight 9 counts for Pattison. I mean, don't get me wrong. Getting past Liz Johnson, putting that on your resume and taking home a second-place check from here at the PBA LBC National Championships isn't the worst thing in the world, but everybody wants their shot at that Duke Trophy. Everybody wants their shot at the PBA LBC National Championships Clash. And everybody wants to take their shot at that big money that comes along with the Duke Trophy. Pattison gets the spare Zavala. Looking to get another strike on 3 consecutive strikes, which would then make 4 strikes in a row. You don't even need the sweep on those first 4 shots for Zavala. Just save the rake. Just let it pick back up, drop 10 more pins down, and it's all good. And there we see getting back over to Patterson, putting that interchangeable thumb into the spare ball. Another 9 count awaits. I mean, obviously she might be feeling that the championship in the women's class division might be slipping away, but you can't let any of those digits drop off the paycheck. Can't afford to give any easy pins away. And Patterson's doing that right now. Keeping the score sheet clean with all slashes, no dashes through 4 frames. Zavala, how about 5 in a row? Once again, save the rake. Stephanie Zavala is going to start the Save the Rake Foundation. Just take all 10 pins off the deck with a powerful bowling ball and then save the rake. I'm sure there's a few mechanics that'll be happy about that. Patterson looking to put her first X of the game on the board here in frame 5. There you go. Take them all down, Miranda Patterson. Pile on those pins, get as many as you can, but the thing is, I don't think you're going to be able to catch up to Stephanie Zavala unless Stephanie decides to put peanut butter in her own thumb hole and start throwing left-handed. First spectacular 6th in a row. Oh, no. And the 7 and 10 both stand against the might of Stephanie Zavala. And Patterson, you see she was begging that one to wheel at 40 feet before it even got out of the end of the pattern. Hey, nice cover there by Brianna Jerzakowski. Hey, you're having a day, Stephanie Zavala. How about a bounce to go with your day? Let's take it out of the pit. Make this bad boy. No, straight back out. And Patterson. With the cover. So still 266 out there for Zavala. 205 is what's needed to get past Liz Johnson. And that head pin did a lot of work on the 2, 4, 5, and 7. And back to striking for Stephanie Zavala. John Rash might be at home watching right now going, my doubles partner's ready for the Lucy at the end of the month. Yeah, I wonder if they had a side bet between Stephanie and Sean, because Stephanie's all over Sean's total from last week. Sean finished with plus 137. Yeah, so Zavala all over that. Hopefully Sean won't be too heavy in Houston for her. Hi, Sean. Patterson, once again, 9 counts, just beating her up this game. Started with 4 of them, now adds another one with a ring 10. Waiting on a respot for a bowler on Zavala's pair, so you haven't missed anything yet. Late falling pin needs to be reset, and then we'll get over to Zavala. So Patterson can still get to 226. She'll get ahead of Liz Johnson with that total. Problem is, that won't be a first place position at the rate that this young lady, Stephanie Zavala, is going. 29 years of age. A PWBA title already this year, and she's looking to add a PBA LBC Women's Classic Division title to it as well. Spare here, and Zavala would just need good count for 2 frames to get past Liz Johnson. So spare here is a must. You know she's looking for the biggest finish possible. She wants to get to that 240 range if she can finish by striking out. Both of them with the ball, Zavala. Actually, Zavala does need one more mark. Actually, if it was 9 out, that'd be 203. She'd be short by a pin. So not fully done yet for Liz Johnson. Stranger things have happened. So we've got Zavala stepping up in the 9th frame. Mark here. Solid count in the 10th locks up a spot ahead of Liz Johnson. Thing is, if she leaves something open, she could still let Patterson get past her. Oh, there you go. The 7 tried the stand. Look at that 9-pin sitting in back, upside down. That silly 9-pin tried to stand against the might once again of Stephanie Zavala, and Stephanie said, I will have no more of you, 9-pin. You've given me enough problems today. You must leave now. So Patterson can get the 191 over. Pardon me, 193 over with striking out. There's the foundation frame strike. Zavala needs a spare in the 10th. And good count to make sure she stays ahead of Patterson. If Zavala goes spare strike, it's 226 and an even 1,400 total. An open frame here, and Zavala could still find herself in second place overall. Liz Johnson looking like she's going to be possibly moving back to third, depending on the finish for Zavala and Patterson. Brings it back. There you go. Zavala will be your women's classic division leader on that strike. Patterson can't get the 7 to go again. Oh, 9 counts this game. Boy, oh boy. And she can't get past Liz because the most she can finish with is 205. That will leave her behind Liz. But ahead of Verity Crowley. So a spare here and good count. And Patterson will be your number 3 player in the standings in the women's classic division. Great effort all day by both these ladies. And here we go to get to a 14-20 total. There you go, 14-20 plus 220. For Stephanie Zavala. Liz Johnson does not reign at the LBC again for 2025, but still second place with just a couple of women's classic division players to go. Pretty solid effort. And Patterson does move into third behind Liz Johnson and Stephanie Zavala with a 1372 total. So we're going to end the main feed. There are still some pairs bowling that are a couple frames behind, but they're not in contention for the lead. We want to make sure we talk to our leaders here at the PBA LBC National Championships. So joining me in the booth, I finally get a booth interview during the run of the PBA LBC National Championships. Stephanie Zavala. And Stephanie, phenomenal bowling today. It was fun to watch. You started off with a 220 game, and you just stayed patient all day and avoided the trouble pair we see so many players have had problems with all season long with the LBC National Championships. What was the key to avoiding that trouble for you today?
Yeah, thank you so much. Honestly, I just knew it was going to be a matter of staying patient. I knew what the number was, and I always feel like that's a little bit of a advantage coming in just because you know how to pace yourself. And so for me, even starting with that 220 or having that 230, it was like, hey, we're gaining pins. Right. Plenty of games left. We're just going. Like, just keep steady even, and we were good.
Well, and another thing, too, that you didn't have with a lot of the women that have both the Classic division so far is competition right next to you. I mean, Miranda Pattison, Team USA player just like you've been in the past, solid collegiate player. I mean, just phenomenal. And you guys are going back and forth like a couple of prize fighters. Did that kind of spur things on, help you out a little bit, keep the focus going too, or?
A little bit. One, I love Miranda. I've known her since she was a little kid because she's also from California. Yeah. So, I mean, going against her is not new to me, and especially now that she's been on tour. I think it brings out the best in both in us. So, like, to be honest, I know we were both kind of throwing, like, punches back and forth, so it felt really good. And honestly, I think it just brings the fire to bowling and it makes it a little bit more fun.
So, how many bowling balls did you go through during your 6 games of competition today?
I threw the volatility torque for all 6 games. I did throw 2 fill balls, just because, you know, out of habit we throw fill balls in case something goes wrong. We need to try something different, but it was the torque the entire way.
Okay. And now your next tournament coming up is going to be the Lucy. Sean Rasher's a partner. Hey, Sean, she spanked you today, so
you better be ready.
You better be ready. Yeah, don't be too heavy on her, Sean. You know, use the load type of thing. But, you know, after that, they're going to announce the PBA LBC National Championships Clash. Odds are pretty good right now with only a couple of players in the Women's Classic division remaining tomorrow that you're going to be the representative for that division at the Clash. What would it mean to you to take home that big old Norm Duke trophy you saw in the tournament office today?
It would be so cool. I mean, honestly, just this experience and, like, what the tournament is as a whole and how so many different people, like, come together for this tournament, I just think it would be amazing to even get the opportunity. So hopefully 6 more games, you know, I would love to be able to participate. Yeah,
and we hope to see you back here for that as well at the LBC Championships Clash. Great bowling today, Stephanie. It was fun to watch. I hope the fans had fun watching as well, and we'll be back tomorrow with more bowling from the PBA LBC National Championships.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. All right, we are winding up our coverage on the day. Hope you enjoyed that nice chat we had with your new Women's Classic Division leader, Stephanie Zavala. Odds are, with just one squad remaining tomorrow and only a couple Women's Classic Division bowlers on that squad, that Stephanie will be your representative from that division into the LBC National Championships clash. We'll be back tomorrow with our final squad of this year's edition of the LBC National Championships, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. here in Mount Prospect, as we will be underway with 4 PBA exempt professionals: Hayden Stipich, Jason Sterner, Kyle Sherman, and PBA Hall of Famer Bill O'Neill. John, she had a pretty solid finish. Finished with a 158 game overall. We're checking on some average verifications and stuff. So she bowled well. You can go back through the archives and see how well she bowled with that. But we won't have an official score for Olivia Rogers until after average verification is complete. So we're not going to call her the girls handicap division leader yet. If assigned averages do hold, that would be the case. But we've got some, as Neil talked about before, average verifications always need to be made with our handicap division bowlers before we can officially crown anyone. So join us at noon tomorrow. We can probably give you an update on all of our divisions then. And we'll see you from Valero Mount Prospect for our final PBA LBC National Championships qualifying squad for 2025.